I feel like I just got massively scammed. So, to give you a little bit of context, I remember as like a kid, I would always want to be independent, and when I would go to school, it would be literally the last thing that I would want to do is just learn. At school, I would always draw, or I would think of other projects that I wanted to do. Back then, I was doing a lot of like Lego animations, and I was writing scripts during school, and I was just not listening at all because I had this huge dislike for school and the educational system, and I kept questioning it. And every time I'd be asking questions, it felt like I would just get in trouble for not really understanding why we are doing certain things and asking why. But I've always had this urge to kind of do stuff by myself, or at least do it in the way that I want to. And so when people came to me and said, you know, you need to get a job, or this is how it works, you know, you're at school and they say, so you're going to do this, and then you do an internship, and then you get a job, and then you retire. And I think most of us have pretty much woken up to the fact that it's kind of a scam, not in every aspect, of course. But I just always had this want of being independent. And so right now, I feel like although I kind of left that one scam, if you will, I then kind of jumped into another scam or got scammed by something else. So the year is 2017, and I started to go on YouTube a bit more seriously. I've been already making videos for the last 7 years at that point. I started in 2010 making videos, and it came to the point where I wanted to start freelancing. That's when I started to pick up the camera a bit more, and I wanted to do more commercial work and projects like that because I was watching Peter McKinnon and people like that. And also bought my first book. And if you know me, you know that I was never into books. I would try everything, like literally everything in my power to not read a book. So the book came in, and it was the Atomic Habits by James Clear. And that was the one first book where I thought, you know, I want to get my life together. I want to do things that make me happy. And the one thing that helps with that is, you know, self-help. And that's when I got into the whole journey of, you know, like getting self-help books, watching those first creators like Ali Abdaal, Matt D'Avella. Those were the main ones that I would watch. I just, these people walking by. I feel dumb doing this, but like I also need to get these videos out because I need, one day or another, I need to be comfortable doing this. So back on topic, I would watch a bunch of this content by Matt D'Avella, Ali Abdaal, all those kind of things. And I figured, you know, I might get the most popular book that was out back in the day. And then I ordered more books. I ordered The 4-Hour Workweek. I ordered Getting to Yes for negotiation. And most of the books I actually never even finished. Like there's some that I actually still have today that I didn't even open yet. I was going to go outside today anyways, and I wanted to bring a book with me. But it's just like none of the books, I was looking at them and none of them kind of, you know, have that like spark that I used to have. Because there'd usually be like this one book that I'd be like, okay, this definitely I'm going to take with me. I'm going to go and read. But last couple of months, there's just like none of the books that I want to read. Like, fuck, I don't want to read more habit books. And I feel like that's the scam that I fell into, is just this self-help niche where, you know, buy all these books, you get all these courses, and we're about, you know, 9 years past 2017, which is when I bought my first book. And I feel like now, I mean, for sure you do learn things in those books, but I just realized how much of a scam it actually is, or at least people put way too much importance on it. And I don't know what to read anymore. I really don't know what to read anymore. I want to read books, but I just like, I don't want these self-help books anymore. They're so boring. There's no, you know, I feel like you learn a lot more from either like biographies are probably less bad. They still are like, kind of, it's kind of like self-help in a way. But I really want to look for fiction books that actually have these interesting stories that are either linked to history or, I just don't know what to read anymore. So what I want you guys to do is to like let me know in the comments what kind of books you would recommend that kind of fit that criteria of like being fiction, but then also having good story. And then, it can be linked to history, it's that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, I feel like I've gotten scammed, and also like I would just hold these beliefs so strongly in my head that I need to do these certain things. Like there's certain habits that you have to keep that were written in the book, and I would just follow these religiously. And the more I kind of push myself to fit into that box, the unhappier I would get. And I mean, just to give you an example, I used to think that suffering was a must if you wanted to succeed in life. That in order to make it, you have to suffer. And so, I mean, I never had bad or horrible things happen to me. I know I'm quite privileged, but I would deal with a lot of depression. I still do today. But one of the things is like, I never had anything horrible or very like traumatizing physically, where I would, have to make a huge change. And since I heard a lot of people talking about their stories and you hear about them online, they tend to be very intense. And so I thought I have to have those experiences as well to get to that point, or to like achieve such a big thing. And so I remember telling my parents like, hey, I feel like I need to live under a bridge. I need to get rid of everything, and I just need to suffer so that I can do better. And of course they say they're crazy, blah, blah, blah. I never really did it. I did a form of it, which was, I was so fed up with my life. It wasn't necessarily like my work life. But school was very hard for me, at least. And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna sell everything. I went to the US and lived there for a couple months, and came back. It was honestly very good. Like, it was good for me to have that kind of big break of just not doing anything else. And I worked there and stuff, but so I kept, once I got back, first of all, I felt like a failure because I had to come back in a way, or just like it wasn't working out as I had imagined it. Because of course I wanted to become independent, and I was just not doing enough work. I thought it was like, oh, poor me. I'm not getting the big break that I deserve, but I wasn't putting in the work. And once I got back, there was like a couple years now. It's been almost 4 years now that I've done that. And I feel like I've evolved a lot, but at the same time, I never let go of this search for becoming the best version of myself. But not in a positive way, more in like a toxic way. And what I mean by that is just like I kept following that self-help, that self-help recommendations. And now I realize like there's no use. I mean, there was one point where I said I would just abstain from alcohol completely, and then of course like you start to feel like you're some kind of god. You're like more important than these other people because you don't drink alcohol. I did 1 year without it. I don't really miss it, and I don't drink as much now. So in a way it did help. It was positive, but again, like I was abstaining from so many things that actually made me happier, where I was like, I want to hang out with friends, but then I was like, no, you gotta lock in and work on yourself. But there was just this part that I was missing, and it was the balance part, and not in the, I don't want to work and I just want to enjoy everything as much. But it's like, I was doing these things not for me, but because I was doing them because people said you should be doing it. And the one thing that I took from that is the things that they're saying in those books. Maybe they're true, maybe they're not. Depends on who you are as a person. But the most important factor of it is experience. So you have an idea, I want to do this, or I think this will work. The only way you can be certain that that is true is if you filter it through direct experience. And I took so long to kind of understand that, because I would have all these assumptions in my head. Yeah, you know, you can't do this if you're doing that, for example, right? And I was holding these beliefs, I would kind of throw them into other people's faces, and me, myself, I wouldn't even be doing them. And that put a whole bunch of more pressure on myself, but I just never actually filtered through direct experience. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't necessarily know which direction I want to go into, which makes life kind of hard, because I've now have a stable job for over a year, and I have, you know, like pretty much like a pretty stable life, but yet I'm not feeling super fulfilled. And it's because most of the things that I'm doing, I've done them because people said you should be doing these things, and I rarely thought about what do I actually want to do for myself. Not what does the book say you should do, not what do your parents or your friends say you should do, because they don't have your life experience, they don't have your thoughts either. So you can take the advice, but then you have to filter it through experience and see, is this actually for me or not? I've been having these reflections for years and never came to a actual conclusion. So I'm still lost. Maybe you guys are too, so we can be lost together. This channel is like completely out of whack. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff I'm doing like completely different. So you guys can follow along, just like you can subscribe, etc. Do what you want. And let me know if you guys want to have like kind of like a community group. I can set that up, and you know, we can keep on chatting. I'm more active on Instagram, so at least for DMs, you guys can follow me. I'll put it down below. Yeah, hit me up. I'll see you guys in our video. Bye.